Hey everybody, it's Stephanie with Beach Potato Embroidery. I am here in my sewing room getting ready to make our Take Note notebooks. I want to show how it goes together so it is easy when you get your kits. You can follow along with the instructions as well as this video. I stitched out the first step onto the stabilizer. I'm using tearaway stabilizer here. I'm going to flip the hoop over to the back, and it's just to be able to draw some lines with our placement stitches that we just did. We're just going to extend them this way a little bit to be able to use this in the later step. So I just used a pen. You can use a pencil, doesn't matter. I just drew out these lines right here because we'll use this in the last step of the project. So I took everything out of our kit. I'm going to unroll this and use fabric number 1, and it's taped. So the cork here is 4 and 12, and this one is 1 and 5. So I'm going to use number 1. So I have cork number 1 laid on top of our placement stitch. It's about 1/2 inch around all sides. As you can see, it extends past the placement stitch down at the bottom. It's going to extend past the placement stitch up at the top, and it goes a little bit over on each side as well. We're going to tape this in place and bring it back to the machine. So in step 2, we're only tacking down the cork just a little bit by creating a placement stitch for our next step. It's this little rectangle right here, and we're going to place our glitter fabric number 2, on top of that rectangle there. We're just going to tape that in place, and then we're going to bring it back to the machine and tack it down and then trim it out. Just make sure your glitter fabric covers the entire placement stitch. So we just finished step 2, and step 3 is now to trim this glitter fabric. So we're going to remove our tape, use our scissors, and get really close to that stitch line. So to cut this, I always like to hold my glitter fabric in my one hand there and grab my scissors and try to just get on a slight angle to cut it there. And I'm not using duckbills, I'm using a Ginger scissor, 6-inch embroidery curve scissor. And you just get close to that stitch line right there. And by holding this, you're able to probably get a faster cut because you're pulling and giving it a little tension, and it just trims right off. And see how close I got to that stitch line? Really easily. Now, don't come around and try to get the glitter. Move your hoop. So anytime we're doing applique, make it easier for you where the hoop moves, not you. So you're not stretching and reaching, trying to be able to get that close cut. And I'm just doing a slight angle. Sometimes going even flat like this works well too, but it gets it really nice and close to that stitch line. So the satin stitch comes around and covers that up. And by giving it that little pull with the fabric, and this works on any fabric for applique, as long as you're holding it and giving it a little bit of tension, you're able to sneak those scissors in and cut it really easily. And just move your hoop around and not you around. And that's it. So now we're going to do our next step. It's just a matter of preference of what colors you want your words to be. With having the gold glitter, a darker color thread will show up better than a lighter color thread. So just pick your favorite darker color thread that'll stand out to stitch the words "Have a So-tastic day." Now that step 4 and color 4 is done, we're ready to move on to step 5 and change our color thread again. So we just finished step 7, about to do step 8, which is going to do the satin around the glitter fabric here. Right now, everything is just a personal choice. What color do you want to personalize your notebook with? I did suggest a darker color thread for the words to show up, but any kind of color that you want to do, if you want to go with metallics, you want to go with bright colors, neon, it's all up to you. Now that all the steps besides the last one are done, which is step 10, we are ready to work on the back side of the hoop. So we're going to take our hoop, we're going to flip it over to the back. Nothing comes out of the hoop. And remember those lines we drew? They'll be important in a minute. next we're going to grab our next piece of cork and we're going to lay that on top like this. As you see, it doesn't go past these lines up on the top or the lines on the bottom. That's okay because this is just a partial part of the backing. Now we need to make the pockets. So we're going to temporarily tape this in place. I really like the Pro Sharp tape that's just painter's tape. For some reason, the Pro version sticks a little bit better than regular painter's tape to the cork. So we're extended about 1/2 inch over that placement stitch there around the whole rectangle. So we're just taping this in place before we get the rest of our pieces on. This is cork piece number 4 in the kit. And then we're going to have our little sleeves. As you can see, they're rolled. So we just have to roll it the opposite way to kind of get it to lay flat again. And this is where those lines that we drew at the beginning of the design are going to make it a lot easier for us to be able to see. So now we're not having to look underneath to see where those lines are. We're just going to line this up with that line and then tape this in place as well. I'm going to remove this tape that I've already put down just because I think it might be in our stitching field. I'm just going to move it a little bit off to the side there so that works a little bit better for us. And then I have another little piece to secure this. Little pocket here on the side, and this is our pocket sleeve for the actual notebook. So we're just going to kind of go around and make sure that this is really secured on the back side because this is the part we don't want moving when we go to put this back in the hoop. And again, just unroll it the other way to get this to lay flat. So now we just need to tape on the sleeve on the other side. So I'm going to lay this over our lines here. As you can see, I'm lining this piece of raw edge cork here with this line and this line that we extended out with our pen or pencil there. So I'm just going to tape this in place. Don't press too hard. We don't want it to come out of the hoop. You can press more once we flip it back to the other side. We just need one more piece of tape up at the top here. And I think we're good to go. Now we're going to flip it over. And we're going to take a quick look on this side. And if you just carefully with your fingers run along the edge of that stabilizer, that's hopefully going to help that tape stick in place. And now we just need to change our bobbin to whatever color top thread that we're using. I'm personally using a Kingstar metallic thread. I liked the gold color in the cork, so I found a gold bobbin, and I have a gold top thread, and that's going to stitch our whole notebook together, but you can use whatever color you like. It's just personal preference. One of the things I recommend with this last part is slowing your machine down to a slower speed. You have a lot of tape on the back of your hoop and you have a lot of pieces going in place. We don't want them to move, and with that faster speed that might make that happen. So we're going to slow it down and let it stitch this last step. This is holding all your layers together. Once this last step is done, we're going to remove our tearaway or our stabilizer that we're using, and then we're going to cut 1/8 of an inch around the edge just using a rotary cutter, and then the whole notebook cover will come out of the hoop. We are just about ready to take this out of the hoop. I'm on the back side, and I just wanted to make sure that everything's stitched out okay, nothing moved on us. Other than some trims of threads, we're good to go. Let's look at the front. Well, everything is still in the hoop. You have the ability to fix or adjust anything. If anything moved on you, you can go back a few stitches, you can go back a step. But once it's out of the hoop, that makes things a lot more difficult. So everything looks good to me. We can unhoop and trim it out. If you're using tearaway, just tear the tearaway out of the stitch line so it'll just pull to here, and then go ahead and trim your cork to 1/8 of an inch away from this stitch line. So we're all done trimming it. I slipped a 5x7 notebook that we include in our kits into the notebook cover, and it is all done.